During the closed session, Council rose with report and passed the following resolution. That Council approved the draft 2024 audited financial statements and audit findings report as presented, and that Council release the 2024 audited financial statements to the public. All right, so this evening there are 5 sets of meeting minutes for adoption. Are there any errors or omissions for any of these meeting minutes?
Yes.
Councillor Hoare.
In the July 29th, 2025 meeting minutes, I'm in the correct spot. Under question period, in 9.1, the Chantal that's referred to as unknown is Chantal Gimmel. I've made
Gimmell?
correct. I believe it's 2 L's. Probably listening. She'll probably correct me.
Perfect. Is that the only correction?
That's the only one I found.
All right, then. I will move that the minutes of July 22nd, 2025 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Mafty seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. And I will move that the minutes of July 29th, 2025 special council meeting be adopted as amended.
I'll second.
Councillor Hoare seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. And I'll move that the minutes of July 31st, 2025 public hearing be adopted as presented. Do I have Councillor Hoare seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. And I will move that the minutes of July 31st, 2025 special council meeting be adopted as presented.
Second.
Councillor Anderson, I think, got that one. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. And I will move that the minutes of August 6th, 2025 special council meeting be adopted as presented.
Second.
Councillor Hoare seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. Is there any unfinished business? Seeing none, we have 2 reports on the agenda today. The first report is 221 Monado Road, Arif, Development Permit Consideration, and it will be presented by Richard Harding, our Interim Chief Administrative Officer, and Tyler Brown from McElhaney.
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, we're pleased to bring forward the development permit for 221 Monado Road for Council's consideration. Mr. Brown is here also to provide a bit of an intro to that, but then again, any questions that Council may have. Mr. Brown.
Well, thank you, Mr. Harding, and hello, Council. Back in front of you with 221 Minato, this time for the development permit, both the environmental and the form and character development permit. Under the OCP, it's within those 2 development permit areas and requires a development permit before subdivision and the subsequent build-out can occur. The draft development permit in your package covers all the development permit areas and is designed or structured in a way that is for the subdivision and also the residential build-out. Doesn't deal with the commercial. A couple notes around it. Essentially, it has been reviewed against the development permit area guidelines, and Council needs to make a decision on whether it's consistent with those guidelines. If Council grants approval, like I said, it will permit the subdivision of the property and also the build out of the residential across the 4 residential lots. If Council does choose to deny it, the way it's structured with development permits and case law is that Council needs to provide the reasons and where the application is deficient in terms of meeting the development permit area guidelines. The conditions of the approval are structured so they reference all the reports that the applicant has submitted and must be in accordance with those reports. Very importantly is the environmental report, which does contain a series of recommendations and mitigation efforts that the developer must proceed with if they want to continue and develop the property. As you're well aware, there's a covenant on title with respect to the housing agreement. And if this is granted, it would see the build out of all the all the buildings and the retaining structures, as well as the roadworks. The developer has requested that the landscaping be phased, and the development permit is structured as such so that it corresponds with each phase of the development. And they have requested 2 variances. One is to the road standards, which have been reviewed by engineering staff, and the staff support that. It is consistent with some of the recent developments in Ucluelet. The second variant, where are we here? Sorry, I just lost my place in my notes. The second variant is with respect to how amenity space is calculated for each unit. Consistent with the submitted development plans at the time of rezoning, the applicant is requesting 8 square meters of usable outdoor recreational space per unit. This doesn't take into account, obviously, the park dedication that previously occurred. That is consistent, as I said, with the submitted development plans. And just for council's information, concurrently, a review with this was the PLA for subdivision. It is anticipated that the PLA will be issued this week. It's just in the final stages of draft and review by the approving officer. I'm here to answer any questions that council may have, and the recommendation is included in your agenda package. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I have a question just with what you were talking about, the amenity space. In the package, it says that the proposal requires 8 square meters per unit, and they are asking it to be varied to 2.5 square meters. Is that correct?
My apologies, Your Worship. That is correct. I misspoke there and got my numbers mixed up.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. And with regard to the road standards, that would be similar to the Rainforest Drive subdivision in
That is
Ucluelet?
correct, Your Worship.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Questions from
And
council?
we included the diagram of that in the report, but also in the draft development permit area, so that's just very clear on what would be approved if council grants approval.
The alternative would be more like curb and gutter, like in cities, as opposed to this standard.
That is correct.
Right, okay. Questions from council? Nope. All right, I don't see any questions from council. I'll call one more time, just in case someone's thinking hard. Nope. All right, there is a recommendation, if anybody would like to move that. Councillor Anderson?
I'll move the council approve development permit DP 24-10 to permit the subdivision of the subject property and subsequent construction of a multi-unit residential development subject to the terms and conditions outlined in the draft development permit included as Appendix A.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion?
Just a couple comments.
Councillor Noel?
Mr. Brown, he's gone, but I want to say thank you for putting this together so quickly. I'm satisfied with the conditions in the report and the phased approach. I think it's I like the way it's been condensed here a little bit, that there's a few less hoops for the developer to go through. So I'm very supportive of what's here, and I want to just express one more time, I appreciate how fast this was executed for the group.
I believe Mr. Brown is also looking at approving or getting the subdivision review approved through the approving officer fairly soon. Is that correct?
Through your worship to you and council, yes. We've in the final draft, the approving officer is we're working with him, and he's moving very quickly. That we'll be able to release that in the next couple of days to the proponent. Great,
that's wonderful.
Just regarding the approving officer, is that someone new, or is this the same person we've been using for the? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments from council? No. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Brown, and thank you, council.
I don't know if we've Actually,
We haven't
voted.
We haven't voted yet.
Oh, we have to vote? All right, sorry. All in favor? None opposed, that carries. Perfect. Cart before the horse. Yeah, very important step. The second report this evening is District of Ucluelet Sister City Policy. It will be presented by Mr. Chow, our Manager of Corporate Services.
Thank you. Through Mayor to Council, this policy is very simple and straight, basically just based on City of Nanaimo's policy. If Council adopt this policy, so any request under this policy, staff will evaluate it based on those criteria, then make a report to Council, then Council can decide whether we will be a city or not. Thank you.
All right, so there are two pieces to this policy. The first piece of it is that council will not just jump into a twinning agreement independent of community leadership. So we're looking for a community group or group of citizens to sort of champion each cause. And then the second part is that we can support the community initiated twinning agreement when there are certain conditions met. Okay, any questions from council? So just to be clear, we're not voting on being a twin city at the moment. We are looking for a group of citizens to champion this cause and bring this information forward to us. Is that right, Mr. Harding? No other comments from council? There is one recommendation, if anybody would like to make that. Councillor Anderson?
I will move the council adopt the District of Ucluelet Sister City Policy.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? No, seeing none. All in favor? None opposed? That carries. All right, we now have a policy to deal with twinning sister cities. Perfect. Are there any notices of motion? All right, we have one piece of correspondence on the agenda today. This is from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada regarding Celebrate Welcoming Our New Toolkit. So there is a week from September 12th to the 21st, which they're calling Welcoming Week, and that is welcoming immigrants to our communities. And there is a toolkit if we want to welcome them with open arms. Does anyone want to take this on or speak to it? No, I just thought it was an interesting piece of correspondence, so I asked it to be included. And we have one information report on the agenda. This report is Council Compensation Review, and it will be presented by Mr. Chow, our Manager of Corporate Services.
Thank you. Through Mayor to Council, basically this is, at this stage, it's only an information report. Just seek Council have some direction to us. Basically, best practice is municipality, usually council will do a compensation review for the next incoming council. Usually do it in the last year of their term, so they are not voting for themselves. So they are voting for any adjustment of the compensation for the upcoming council. Like the City of Nanaimo, what we look at is they pick a large group, like 12 comparable municipality, 6 below population, 6 above. And then usually would have called an independent task force. It could be a citizen, like you can call a committee. Basically, those are independent citizens. We will provide the survey result. Then they will come up with some recommendation, like, keep a status quo or increase at a certain level or, another level. Then when the review panel bring the recommendation back to council, council can decide whether you accept it or council can reject it. Council can have the final say at that stage. And at this stage, we just needed to seek council direction whether want staff to spend more time to come up with a proposal or not. That's just, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. I believe the last time this council, well, Ucluelet Council did this was in my first term, so that was 2 terms ago. Mr. Harding, I think I sent you the policy that had the date on it.
It was quite a while.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So how does council feel about doing a review of council remuneration, which would not affect us, but will affect the next group sitting up here after October of next year? Councillor Noel?
Go ahead, Mark.
I think it's a pretty good idea. I think at the end of the day, the reality is that if we're getting paid, the way that pay is calculated and the justification for the amount should be something that is publicly available and transparent, and there should be a process. And I think that there's a real rationale for having that process repeated at regular intervals. So the way that I see it is it's not necessarily, oh, let's give ourselves a massive raise and a gold chalice and all that. It's more about let's just make sure that the policy is justifiable, so that everything is above board and transparent. And at the end of the day, so that whoever runs for these seats in the future can feel like the compensation that they're receiving is determined through a process rather than something arbitrary or perhaps outdated.
And that at least it compares to similar sized municipalities as well.
Yeah, if that's how it's calculated, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you'd have the option of being like, wow, this is not enough, I'm going to run and be a councillor in Port Alberni. I think it's just making sure that everything is above board. These positions involve a lot of work, and I think I can only speak for this council, but I feel like we've all treated it as something that we do because we love the community and we want to help out. And the remuneration it's not nothing, but that's not why people do it. But at the same time, if we are getting paid, it should be a reasonable amount, and that applies to the next council as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not a lot of money, but it's something to compensate for our time. Councillor Noel, you had a comment?
No, I'll just echo what Mark said, so I think it's perfect. He articulated it perfectly.
Great. Councillor Hoare?
Oh, I just think I agree with Councillor Mafti. The thing about compensation, it's not much, truly, but it can also be a barrier, and that's something to bear in mind given the high cost of living out here too. So I think like comparable communities, and I like the idea of a task force.
So how would the task force be chosen? Would that be an RFP?
No, not an IFP. We can have another follow-up report, right? The easiest way to do is we call it, say, independent citizen review panel. Then we can just call for interest. So it's like the Community Forest Foundation. So people can put their name in. Then we go with council. Then council can appoint, say, 3 people, independent citizen. They will form a panel. Then staff will do the research, the survey. Then the panel will convene. Then they will look at those survey data. Then they make a recommendation. Then we do another report to report back to council on the citizen panel's recommendation.
Okay, great. And it's not just salary, it's also, there's other benefits as well. I know some councils have introduced babysitting fees just to help single parents to sit in these seats and have childminding paid for. So there's other benefits that panel will look at.
Yeah, we can look at a wide range of things like that. Also maybe including like expense, right? When you go to attend out-of-town meeting, those kind of things.
Right. Okay. Great.
So Mayor, we'll come back, given the council wants us to explore this, we'll come back with a report. We'll give you a number of options, both of what kind of compensation you want to look at, as well as options of how you want the review be conducted.
Okay. Thank you. So that'll be a staff report then.
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Anderson, did you have any comments?
Can I just make one final comment? I actually had 2 conversations about this, and one of the points that I raised that I just want to put on the record is that I think that throughout the whole community, there's a desire for a representative council, by which I mean councilors that represent every demographic group, not just independently wealthy retired people that can afford to do this. And if we want people in these seats that have a job, that have a family, I think it's important to consider the compensation as part of it. You know, our council meetings start at 4. That's usually like the last hour of the workday. So if we want people from the community who are working full-time jobs to seriously consider these positions, there has to be some consideration for the time that they put into the role and for the impact that taking this on has on their regular 9-to-5 job. And so but both of the people I spoke to were, you know, sort of thought that this should be done for free because otherwise it's a cash grab. And I think that's absurd. And I think that we need to really disabuse ourselves of that notion, especially if we want working people who represent the community in these seats, or else we're only going to end up with people who can afford to do this for free because they have a vested interest, and that's probably not going to be in the best interest of the community. So I just wanted to say that on the record if anyone that I spoke to is watching this meeting.
Mayor?
All right, thank you, Councillor Mafty.
Mayor, if we could just add to that, that's Mr. Chow and I have been talking about one of the reasons you do a formal review like this is so you can look at those types of issues, so that you know, council, particularly you do it a year before the election, so when people decide if they're going to run or not, you know, you've considered all those types of issues to attract you know, a broad democratically elected council that you want to see represent the community. So in that review can talk about a number of those types of issues, and compensation, of course, is part of that.
Perfect, thank you. All right, moving on to mayor's announcements and council committee reports. Fairly recent announcement, August 28th actually, that Harbour Air will be operating out of Ucluelet next summer. So we're one of 3 new locations, and and I believe that they have a ticket office right down on the waterfront now, and so that's pretty exciting. That's a new way to get to Vancouver if you want to travel without your vehicle. So happy to have them on board. Councillor Anderson, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Not much to go over, but our Blue Economy Working Group meeting was delayed because I think I was away, and wasn't I think Jason Goldsworthy from Coast was also busy at the time, so we pushed that one back. So about the only thing to report would be our ACIT meeting that you and I went to. That was last Friday on the 29th, and that was the ACET is Accelerating Community Energy Transfer. It's the name of that group. So they're looking at potentially helping us with the conversion of the previous Coast Guard and DFO building into something different, potentially a decarbonization hub. So we talked about things like wave energy, kelp, and a couple other things, wind energy as well, offshore wind energy, and that'll be interesting. That one's evolving. They have a fair bit of funding behind them federally, so that could play out. It'd be pretty interesting. But I think that's it for me.
Great, thank you, Councillor Hoare.
Have you seen the new wind turbines that don't have the big blades on them?
No, like a
Yeah,
dozen.
it's. I think it's in Europe. I can't remember
Netherlands?
the details. They actually just look like a cylinder sort of thing, and it less damaging to wildlife. So, just on that whole, we live in a windy corner of the world.
Huh.
Look that one up. The only thing I have to report is if you're in Vancouver and you want to go to Bard on the Beach, I've seen all 4 plays now, one of them even twice. All of them are amazing. Gotta recommend it. And I spent Sunday kayaking in the Broken Group with Hello Nature, something I would also recommend everybody spend some time out there. You know, we just did a day trip, saw whales, otters, seals, poked around. Nothing wrong with visiting a little of the nature around us. So, but yes, beyond that, nothing more to report.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hoare. Councillor Mafty?
Nothing to report. Council's hasn't met the last couple weeks. Along Jen's lines there, yeah, last 2 weeks of August I usually set aside for fishing, and saw Mako out there and lots of other folks, and yeah, it was a
And did
beautiful
you-
end to the summer.
Did you catch any tuna?
Mostly for salmon, went out for tuna once, but yeah, the salmon fishing was good. Seems like it's always good, so no complaints there.
Nice.
Full.
Great. Councillor Noel,
Nothing to report.
but good fishing?
Always good fishing. August is always good fishing here.
Perfect. All right, I had a few meetings myself. August 7th was the Resort Community Collaborative Mayors meeting. That's the 14 of us that are mayors of resort municipalities. And that's on Teams. And of course, it's Tofino and Ucluelet's busiest time of year. All the other 12 resort municipalities are ski resorts. So they're also busy because now they've switched from skiing to golfing and mountain biking and all the things that ski resorts do in the summer. So they're still busy. They're kind of busy 12 months a year. But it's always good to catch up with them to see what their challenges are, and some have been affected by wildfires as well. On the 14th was the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development meeting here at the community center. Just basically looking at fine-tuning what projects we want to actually take on, rather than having a great big huge long list of maybes. It was kind of reducing it down to what can we actually take some action on. So that was a good meeting to be at. On the 26th, I was at on a Teams meeting regarding foreshore leases, and that was with the Assistant Deputy Minister of Reconciliation, Lands and Natural Resource Policy. That's the ministry that he represented. And he had 3 people with him on the call as well. And that was to do with, for starters, Neptune Ice, whose foreshore lease has gone up 400% very suddenly. And so we wanted some clarification on how that was calculated and why it had jumped up so high. And I guess the answer is that some of these leases have not been looked at in quite a number of years, instead of being looked at regularly and increased regularly. So that was what they offered to us on that front. And that same afternoon, I had a tour with Councillor Hoare of our new medical clinic. There was something else, yes. That was, we were the only 2 on council that were available to go, but Sarah Gogo gave us a really great tour, and she's the on-site administrator up until sometime this week when she retires, and then there will be a new one. But it's a beautiful building. She took us for an hour through, and it's really something. Max Jajac was, I ran into him the Friday before, which is how I managed to arrange this tour, bumping into him at Blackrock, and he said it was the most beautiful clinic that Island Health has ever built. So we can be proud of that. And on the 27th, I had an Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board meeting on Zoom. Not too many things that affect the West Coast on that one. And then on the 29th was that breakfast meeting with ACIT with Councillor Anderson. And I think there is some exciting news on the in the future regarding wind or wave or energy and kelp, and just diversifying the economy so that we're not just tourism, dependent all the time. Those were my meetings. All right, we're now moving on to question period. This is an opportunity for the public to ask questions and comment on matters within Council's jurisdiction. Representations about bylaws that council is prohibited from holding a public hearing on, or bylaws that were subject to a public hearing, are not permitted at this time. Are there any audience members that wish to address council? Please take. No, you have to, because people are watching on Zoom, you have to be at the microphone. Yes. And just your name and address, please. I'm not sure that mic is on. Richard, can you check?
Sorry.
We got it. Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to start again?
Yes, please.
S. Fuller, 477 Marine Drive. Okay, so I did send all council members a email. I hope you got it, and I sent both Councillor Newell and Anderson a little text saying it's on its way. Did anyone get a chance to read it?
I saw something come through from you this afternoon, but I haven't read it yet.
When I put forward the initiative to twin with Gaza City, it wasn't inspired by twinning so much as inspired by doing something as a community with regard to supporting and helping Gaza City. And I said it a couple of times before and in emails that I didn't want it to fall into a bureaucratic, let's set up a policy for twin cities and sister cities. Now, of course, I know I've been in the media business. I know how governments work, and I know there's some kind of formality to things. But with Gaza City, I mean, I would imagine most people know what's going on. There's not much time to, go through this process. So I'm not quite sure how. At one level, I'm glad that you've agreed with twinning, even though it seems as if I'm not quite sure what's going on. But I think it'll be there always as, what do you want to call it, a mark on how we responded to this initiative to do something in support of Gaza City. So that's important in the sense that people will look at it and judge us on how we responded to that. I want to ask now if there's a possibility that we can consider, I don't know, maybe adding on right now an addendum. So basically my argument was Mr. Chow put forward something around Nanaimo, and I'm not quite sure when that was decided. Do you have a date on when that policy was put in place?
I believe it was the late 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are we in now?
2015? What are we, 2025?
Yeah. Sorry.
2025.
That was
I think it could have been late 90s.
Yeah, okay. That was a rhetorical question, of course. The circumstances are so different. The context is so different. I'm not quite sure, and I have said this before, why it was used as a model. What's that, like a 50-year model, right, or something like that. I mean, we wouldn't use that for any other kind of model, I don't think. So I'm not quite sure that, and I do remember, and I think that the mayor had said something about Nanaimo a long time back, and I sort of put my hand up or my voice on and said, no, we don't want to look to Nanaimo. And when I ended my email to all of you, I said, we are Yuki, we are not Nanaimo, and I think I was as if we're talking about now, not the 80s or wherever it was. So that's a bit of a disappointment to me, but I always think, you have to do what you can with what you get. Mr. Charles and Nanaimo's argument has been what, crudely and not very elegantly, but at its heart is, what can Gaza City do for us? What are the benefits? And when I read that, I went, I wasn't when I put forward this thing saying, what can Gaza City do for us? And then I thought, well, if that's the kind of language that people want to have discussed here, then let me think about what Gaza City can do for us. And I said in my email, it can do the most fundamentally important thing for us. Have us, as a community that cares, as a community that's got some kind of, and I put soul in inverted commas, it puts us in a place of world moral the world moral community. So I was wondering if there was some way that we could look at that reframing, that reading at what we would call reading against the grain, and say, let's say we've got that now. We've got something which we can say is a benefit. You also mentioned funding. There's no funding element in this at all, certainly for now. And it could be elaborated. The other thing was you spoke about research. I certainly had done quite a bit of research, and every day we get research and evidence as to what's going on in Gaza City. So we don't, we've kind of got it by now, I would imagine. The other thing that you brought up was something kind of community-led. Now, two things. One, to set up this community-led thing would take a lot of time. Gaza it's already in ashes, but who knows what it'll be whenever you set it up. But I also wanted to tell you, and I have said it, I think, to a number of you personally, there are a number of people in Ucluelet who do support doing something about Gaza. Not as many as I expected, but, you work with what you can. So I think there is some community leadership around this. It's not just an eccentric, kind of initiative. There's something fairly solid in that. So I ask you, if we want to have a soul, if we want to be counted among, whoever it is, and the increasing numbers of people who are responding with morality, if we do want our children to look back, or our grandchildren, in the case of Councillor Noel and myself, and maybe others here, if we do want them to look back with some kind of pride, is there something we can do now that will carry some weight around those issues? I think that's basically what I was saying in a nutshell.
All right, thank you for your comments. And it sounds like you may have gathered some community members together that are willing to support you in this initiative. And so I would encourage you to come back to us with this report from a group of you, just like our new policy stipulates. And
The NIMO's policy stipulates, right?
well, it's now ours as well. As of
But
today.
you know that there's an urgency to what's going on in Gaza.
Yes,
City.
I'm not sure twinning will help them a lot. It's a show of support. I get it.
No, I know. When I formulated this idea, I was doing lots of other things as well. I thought this was a brilliant strategy that didn't cost anything and would be symbolically very powerful. If I was going to set up a social movement about something, I would have come up with other strategies, maybe. Or if I wanted to twin with another city that I like, I would have said, well, we've got a twinning with Tofino. Why not? Let's get closer to Tofino. But that was not the point. And there's not the time. But there'll have to be the time if you, or five of you are saying that there's nothing that can be done now and here.
As I say, I would encourage you to continue by gathering the people that are supporting you, and then come back to us with a report on why it's important for this group of citizens to carry forward with this initiative.
Oh, well, if you would do me the courtesy of at least reading that, and I place it there, and I somehow thought that we would all be to bring in a bit of Latin, given that it's a council meeting, ad idem on the fact that Gaza City needs our support and why it is that they want that support and why it is that it must be done now or nowish. But if that's not an option, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other audience members that wish to address council? Are there any members of the public attending by Zoom or telephone that wish to address council?
Thank you, Mayor McEwen. There are no members of the public attending via Zoom that would like to address council at the moment.
Okay, and have we received any emails to communityinput@ucluelet.ca during the meeting?
Thank you, Mayor. We have not.
All right, then I will move that the September 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting be adjourned at 4:42. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mafty seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. Thank you.